All right, let's talk about Brock Purdy himself, the guy who just, again, remains undefeated somehow in games that he played the whole time without getting injured. You know, his only loss as a starter was against the Philadelphia Eagles in the conference championship game, which doesn't really count, I don't think. He remains undefeated. And another video about how it's happening and what he's doing so well. And, you know, again, this is becoming just the norm at this point. You expect Brock Purdy to come in and, you know, light up the stat sheet, have a good statistical day, have a good tape day, and, you know, again, so many other players contributing. So let's talk about it all. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about the scheme and the Cardinals, all that good stuff. All right, let's start off with this play. It's going to be a zone coverage play, and you have Brandon Ayuk running over the middle, okay? We've seen this a million times, right? You know, run a play action, get linebackers out of position, throw in between them. Sure, we get it. We understand how this works. Well, again, watch Purdy take the snap, and like, I know we've seen this a million times, but it's still worth pointing out. Just the timing is just so perfect on these plays by Purdy. I mean, you see those two players over the middle that I've circled in black. He's throwing it perfectly in between those two players. You see there's a window for Ayuk to be able to make the grab. Purdy's throw hits Ayuk in stride, allows Ayuk to get as many yards as possible after the catch. It's just great stuff from Brock Purdy, great stuff from Ayuk, great stuff from Kyle Shanahan, and it's just something we kind of expect at this point. You know, people can say quote unquote system quarterback as much as you want to. At the end of the day, he's a good scheme fit, right? We always view this with other players. You know, Richard Sherman, Hall of Famer, partially because of how good of a scheme fit he was with that, cover 3 scheme. Why do we never view it that way with quarterbacks? He's a perfect scheme fit. He's doing great stuff with this. So that's not easy to do, and he's making it look easy. And there are plays like this I always kind of point to. It's like when we see Purdy have to make a play, he tends to make those plays. This is a 4th down and 4, and they're going for it. So, okay, man coverage across the board. This is kind of, is one of your guys going to beat one of their guys? The route you see on the screen, it's going to be George Kittle, who, yeah, definitely a player to look at in these situations for sure. Purdy's going to take the snap. He's going to look in that direction. And look at Kittle, not necessarily right now. He's not like wide open right now, but watch how he, kind of comes back towards the ball. As you see, watch how, again, really well-timed throw, and he's able to kind of box out the defender and even does some good work after the catch to pick up an extra yard or two there. It's just really good stuff by this entire San Francisco offense, and part of why they're so difficult to stop is because they just have so many players, I mean, we talk about it. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's so difficult to stop one of those guys, let alone all 4, and Purdy does a great job at spreading the ball around. This play was a very interesting one. We saw some deep shots to Brandon Ayuk in this game. This one's going to be a deep shot, and it's only a 3-man rush for Arizona. Like, watch as Arizona trying to defend deep on this play, which is interesting. And you see right here, the way this works, though, is both of those Arizona players trying to make sure they don't get beat deep down the field. You kind of see these plays come up every now and then over the middle. In fact, that's kind of frequently what you see is this kind of situation happens like 15 yards down the field. Usually not this far down the field, but if this situation happens, we'll take advantage. And for Purdy, I think a lot of quarterbacks would either just bomb it or not make this throw altogether. But Purdy's throw is much more of a line drive, and it results in a big completion. Just a unique scenario there. So despite the fact that he was basically completing every pass, he also, these weren't the easiest of completions to make, but he was making them. Like this one's another one. It's going to be, once again, a deep shot to Brandon Ayuk. Once again, there is a safety deep, and it's almost like you're getting underneath the safety. You're hopefully Brandon Ayuk is going to run a good route to kind of, think the safety is going in one direction or think that you're going in one direction to get the safety to go in that direction. Think that you're going deeper, cut over the middle, and get open. That's what you hope to see happen if you're, Brock Purdy on this play. Watch as Purdy's going to, again, run a play action because why not? Throws the ball down the field, and once again, Brandon Ayuk just getting wide open right here. These are not the most difficult plays, right? It's not something that's hard necessarily, but again, like I always say with Purdy, it's not necessarily the degree of difficulty that's so impressive with Purdy. It's the consistency with him and how frequently he's making the correct throw. As you see, that was a good throw. They're able to pick up a big play on that one, and they're able to get a chunk play. So for an offense that kind of doesn't necessarily rely on the chunk plays, it's not really how they view things. The fact that they were able to get a chunk play on that one is very good, and the fact that Purdy can create certain chunk plays. That's, again, one of the many things to like about a player like Brock Purdy. Also, something like this, very good. So it's going to be a second down and goal. Currently, the 49ers are up 14-3. And you see Christian McCaffrey's route. More of an underneath route, but it's going to eventually cut over the middle. And a lot of times, you'll just have the halfback just run a regular flat route on these types of plays. Just run towards the sideline in that area. That's what you kind of expect to see. Watch as you're going to see Purdy. He does run a play action, and you see that the defender who's covering McCaffrey, he's expecting it to go a little bit towards the outside. Because, again, that's what you do a lot of times with halfbacks. But there's no denying that Christian McCaffrey is no ordinary halfback. Part of what makes him such a weapon is that he isn't just valuable in the running game. He's very valuable in the running game, but that's not all his value. So much of his value is also in the receiving game. That's kind of, what people always talk about with him is if you just look at his running, ability, he's already still one of the best running backs in football. But what kind of elevates him above just being a great running back to being even more than that is what he's going to do here. Watch how he uses that step to cut over the middle, gets just enough, really good throw by Purdy as well, one of Purdy's better throws of the day, putting it right on the money to allow McCaffrey not just to make the catch, but to run after the catch, kind of rolls into the end zone a little bit for a touchdown. This is just great football by Christian McCaffrey, great stuff by Purdy, and look at, how many people, different, players I'm talking about making these incredible plays. McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. I haven't mentioned Deebo Samuel in this video, but I've mentioned him in plenty of others, right? That's not even mention maybe the best left tackle of the past 10 years in Trent Williams, playing. So all this stuff is it's so good. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on Brock Purdy. Again, I kind of always feel like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much of it is the scheme and how much of it is him. We can have those conversations. They're fun to have. And don't get me wrong, at some point we will have to wonder, how much of it is him and how much of it is the scheme once it's time to actually pay Brock Purdy. Although, again, we don't make that decision, so it doesn't matter for us. But you know what I mean? It is a conversation that's going to have to be had eventually. But as of right now, I think it's just fair to say he's playing good football, and the 49ers are a complete championship contender because of him, one of only two teams that are still undefeated left this season, and a big part of it is because of what Purdy does. Again, if you want to say it's just a scheme, how come no one else has gone undefeated in the Shanahan scheme? Only Purdy has done this, so I think it's pretty impressive. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on Purdy and his performance here. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.